Hello every pony. Let's hope this review goes smoothly without a single hitch. I just jinxed it, didn't I? Oh well, I'll be reviewing the microseries starring Princess Sunbutt. Cue spoiler alert. Well, you know the drill. This is a spoiler alert warning you of the possible spoilers in this video for an IDW comic. This comic is the debut of a new writer, Georgia Ball. Hopefully she does well. The art is by Amy Meberson. Since I covered Amy's art in an earlier review, link here, I'll get right to the story. The comic begins in Canterlot at Celestia's School for Gifted Unicorns, where an annual event called the Royal High Tea is being held. It is an event for the students, parents, and faculty of the school to interact. We are then introduced to CSGU alumni, Floribunda.
And I will remind you, mispronouncing things is my thing.
She is apparently pressuring Princess. Princess? You know, suddenly Celestia's role in Equestria Girls isn't that much of a stretch. Wait, does that make Canterlot High the human world equivalent of CSGU? Note to self, make a vid about how Equestria Girls might not be as much of a stretch compared to Equestria as originally thought. But I digress. So Floribunda is pressuring Celestia to make the school more presentable. She also happens to be the head of the Pony Teacher Committee and is very influential with other parents when making decisions about the school. We then meet Giddily. Starting to notice a pattern between the naming of some teachers in Equestria. First Cherily, now Giddily. Maybe they're related. And I guess the suffix Lee is some kind of family name? I don't know. Anyways, Giddily's role in the Royal High Tea is to chaperone the student room, which it's her first time doing so. What could possibly go wrong? We then meet the final new important character for this comic, Professor Inkwell, one of the oldest teachers on the CSGU staff. I'm actually not too upset with the rapid introduction of important characters. It's actually done rather well. In the first 4 pages, we are given the setting, Canterlot, CSGU, Royal High Tea, the important characters, Celestia, Floribunda, Giddily, Inkwell, and the next couple panels set up the conflict, how Inkwell may be past her prime of being a good teacher. It may just be 4 pages, but there is ample time to understand what's going on before the official events of the story unfold. It still may be a little heavy on the telling versus the showing, but there's a pretty happy medium. Back to Professor Inkwell. She's that old pony stereotype who may have been great in her prime, but in her old age, all she really does is tell stories about her past and isn't really taken too seriously by the ponies of today. She's actually a lot like Granny Smith in that regard. Not being taken seriously or even viewed as an embarrassment because of her age, but having a very key role in the history of Equestria. Though I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, that doesn't happen till later. And just when the Royal High Tea seems to be going quite well, something bad happens. Well, there wouldn't be a story if something bad didn't happen. So was it A, Nightmare Moon crashes the party, B, they all do the time warp again, or C, an accidental spell caused all the food in the students' room to come to life and attack the students? The correct answer is C. If you guessed A, I advise you rewatch the series pilot. If you guessed B, you likely caught the awesome reference, but you're still wrong. So the teachers all rush into the students' room and begin blasting food right and left. Then Inkwell decides to think outside the box and brings to life the bunny centerpiece to destroy the remainder of the food. But, unfortunately, because Floribunda's daughter was traumatized by the whole experience, she tells Celestia she will not be sending her daughter to the school unless Celestia fires Inkwell or forces her into retirement. So Celestia goes into her chambers and begins to reflect upon the past. Camera. Okay, it appears to be working now, but everything is in sepia tone. You know, in a weird way it works. I was about to talk about events in the comic that take place in the past, and sepia tone kinda reminds me of the past. Much like black and white, it was a common color scheme for old photographs and film before color film was invented. So, I guess I'll proceed. So, about 1,000 years ago, Canterlot is under attack by the Nightmare Forces. And one can only assume Nightmare Moon. I guess answer A in my joke multiple choice question was closer to the truth than I originally thought. Anyways, the battle rages on, and all who are able to fight are fighting. And you know, this scene actually makes the Nightmare Forces kind of a menacing villain. Unlike some other comics I'm not going to get into, but if you'd like to see my review of the arc in question, click here. Celestia is giving it her all, but her power is weakening. Then a younger Inkwell lends a helping hoof and the battle swings in Celestia's favor. Celestia then reflects upon how she needed to make a decision in order to ensure Canterlot always had a defense. Her decision? Open a school for unicorns and train them. And she knew just the pony she wanted on her staff. Inkwell. She goes about recruiting Inkwell by bringing her a surprise. Surprise Twilight Velvet and Firefly as fillies. Any hardcore brony or Pegasister should know that those three names are the names of the concept ponies for Pinkie Pie, Twilight Sparkle, and Rainbow Dash, respectively. Twilight Velvet also happens to be Twilight Sparkle's mom, though I'm not entirely sure if that filly actually is Twilight's mom, because if she is, then the purple pony princess's mom is a lot older than she looks. And through the group of fillies' eagerness to hear what she has to say, she discovers her love of teaching and is on board. At first, Inkwell's lectures were packed full of eager students ready to learn. But over the years, attendance dwindled. Hey, just in time to be talking about the present again. Good timing, camera. Now don't do that again. So Celestia has to attend a meeting where they will come to a decision on the matter of Inkwell's retirement. She decides to administer a test. Inkwell must turn an ugly, disgusting toad into a less ugly, disgusting toad. Though the test is kind of rigged for failure. Though it is rigged that way to kind of prove a point. The reason why Celestia is pressured to get rid of Inkwell is because Floribunda and a bunch of the other faculty view Inkwell as an ugliness on the school's perfect reputation. But on the other hoof, being perfect, being normal, being ordinary is not something Inkwell really cares about, as her response to the test proves. She said the toad is perfect just as it is. Before the final decision is made, Celestia then turns to Floribunda and asks if Inkwell's response to the test reminds her of anything. She then recalls a memory long forgotten about a time where she felt like she was the biggest nerd in school, and Inkwell was there to show her that she wasn't and make her feel better, and got her to the point in life that she's at. Celestia then goes around the room and asks other CSGU alumni about times where Inkwell helped them feel less out of place, helped them feel accepted, get over fear, get over shyness, stuff like that. And inevitably, Floribunda and a bunch of the other faculty that originally didn't want Inkwell there had to change of heart and let her stay. The end. Oh, and also, after seeing how many ponies Inkwell has helped over the years, Gida Lee gets re-inspired to do her best to educate young minds. I'd give this comic 6.5 perfect just the way they are toads out of 10. Now, I usually fault the microseries comics for not focusing on the supposedly featured pony, but this case was different. Celestia did what she does best, teach others valuable life lessons, or otherwise prevent them from making a mistake they'll regret. And besides, there are plenty of other comics in the main series that'll give Celestia some character development. This one really didn't need to do that much. Not to say that there wasn't character development, it just wasn't too significant. It was more or less just an expansion on what we already knew instead of something new. It showcased the lengths that Celestia was willing to go to protect her subjects, and also provided the reasoning why Celestia's School for Gifted Unicorns even existed. The story was very strong, particularly in the flashback part. Though it still doesn't mesh perfectly with the show's canon, it is nice to see some more equestrian history. It did, however, get a bit rushed at the end, as a lot of the microseries comics seem to do. It was like, okay, if she passes, she stays, if she fails, she leaves. Then the whole room has a change of heart, then it's over. Yes, I did applaud the ability of the story to tell things in rapid succession in the beginning of the comic, but it just wasn't as well executed at the end of the comic. It did, however, teach some pretty good lessons. Much like in Family Appreciation Day, it taught about respecting the former generations and their ways of teaching and doing things. It also taught how being more than just a teacher, being a mentor to students, can leave a lasting impression. Anyways, that's my 2 bits on this comic. Tell me your 2 bits in the comments below. And while you're down there, why not suggest a possible future spoiler alert? And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Comic Sans, and I'll see you next week where I'll be reviewing My Little Pirate, Friendship Ahoy, Adventure Number 1, The Salty Sea Mare. Hopefully the review isn't rated R.